Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 28th, 2021 meeting of the Planning Board of the Town of Chatham. My name is Catherine Halpern. I'm Chair of the Planning Board of the Town of Chatham. This meeting is being conducted by remote participation only, and I will be giving you a few points regarding remote participation in a few moments. The meeting is being broadcast live on Channel 18 and will also be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing. I do need to ask if anyone is recording the meeting. It's all right to record the meeting, but you need to notify us. I'll give you a few moments in case you're. All right, so let me read a few points about our remote participation. This meeting of the Chatham Planning Board is being conducted via remote participation in accordance with Section 20 of Chapter 20 of the Act 1 and shall afford adequate public access to Microsoft Teams by calling the phone number 1-54410. That's 1-508-945. Conference ID number 2-420-125#. That's 420-125#. Join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams. The agenda that's posted on the town website. Despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access. And as I mentioned, we will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. And in the event that anyone becomes inadvertently muted while you are speaking, and if you're connected by telephone, you should press *6 on your phone. Before we get started, I'll ask everyone who's connected to please mute your telephones or mute, if you're connected by computer, by Microsoft Teams, please mute your microphone on your computer. Planning board members, please keep your video on. Planning board members should keep your video on, but everyone else except the person who's speaking when recognized by the chair, please keep your video off and please keep your microphones muted. So the procedural steps, I'll start off with a roll call of all planning board members. When you're recognized by the chair for members of the public, non-board members, please repeat your name before you begin speaking and also the last 4 digits of your phone number if you're connected by phone. And again, we just want to do this for identification purposes so that we can clearly identify all speakers. Also, after an agenda item has been discussed by the public body, which in this case is the planning board, I'll request public comment for citizens, non-board members. For comments or questions, I'll request comments or questions. And please only speak when recognized by the chair, particularly with remote participation. We just have to honor that formality. And the only person speaking should be the person recognized by the chair. Everyone else should have their microphones muted. This helps with the feedback and with the clarity of the broadcast. Also tonight, when any votes are taken by the planning board, we'll be taking all votes by roll call vote. And at the end of the meeting, we'll close the meeting with a verbal confirmation of adjournment, and we'll note the time of adjournment. Next, I just want to ask the planning board members, let's start with the roll call. I'm sorry, let's do that first. So Art Sprue, are you present?
Art Sprue, present.
And Warren Shane, are you present?
Warren Shane, present.
And Tom Gagan, present?
Tom Gagan, present.
Thank you. Bob Dubus, are you present?
Bob Dubus is here.
Okay. Roger Griffin?
Roger Griffin, present.
And this is Catherine Halpern. I am also present. Bob Wirtschafter could not join us tonight, so he is absent. Roll call being done, I just need to ask if any planning board members need to recuse themselves from any matters on the agenda tonight. All right, there being no recusals, let's go ahead with the first agenda item, which is the minutes from May 24th. I'll just ask the planning board members if anyone has any additions or corrections, amendments to the May 24th minute. There being none, may I have a motion to approve the May 24th minutes?
Motion to
Arts
approve, Bob
Uh,
Dubus.
Art
All
Spru,
right.
I'll second.
All right, let's do a roll call vote. Art Spru,
Art Spru, approve.
Warren Chain,
Warren Chain, approve.
Tom Gagan,
Tom Gagan, approve.
Bob Dubus,
Bob Dubus, approve.
Roger Griffin,
Roger Griffin, approve.
and this is Catherine Halpern, and I also approve the minutes of May 24th. Next item is an approval not required. Item for 306 and 308 Old Comers Road. And this is a simple land swap. And do I have someone presenting for this matter? Is it Thad? Are you here?
Good evening. For the record, Thad Eldridge.
Goody. Thank
Uh,
you, Thad. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. I could not have said it better myself. This is just a simple land swap. We had started one 25 years ago. Skip Kendrick got a building permit off of it. He never finished off the project at Land Court, and so now we're starting over. That's about it.
All right.
Even areas and ready to go.
And is that your screen that you're sharing, or is it Allie who's sharing her screen?
Allie was kind enough to
Um,
share.
And I'm just wondering if, Allie, can you circle with your little pointer, the two areas that are basically being swapped? So it's just very clear. I'm sure everyone can see it on their plans. All right, great. So it's lot 30 will be combined with lot 29, and then lot 31 will be combined with lot 32. Any questions from the planning board for Thad?
Madam Chairman, this is Bob Dubus.
Yes.
No
Yes,
questions,
please
but
go ahead.
this is basically a cleanup thing that we should be able to get through really quick, I hope. That the land swap
Yeah.
allows the main house to keep its driveway in one perspective, so there won't be any interruption in the driveway area. And house cleans the lot size, land swap, feet for feet, square feet for square feet. I would hope there's not too much commentary on this and we can get by this quickly.
Thank you. I think we can. In fact, I'd like to suggest that we have a motion to endorse this approval not required.
Bob Dubus makes that
Yeah.
motion.
Roger Griffin, I'll second that.
Great. If there's no discussion, let's go ahead with our roll call vote to endorse the A&R as presented. Art Spru,
Art Spru, approve.
Warren Chain,
Warren Chain, approve.
Tom Gagan,
Tom Gagan, approve.
Bob Dubus,
Bob Dubus, approve.
Roger Griffin,
Roger Griffin, approve.
and this is Catherine Halpern. I also approve that we endorse this A&R as shown. Thank you, Thad.
Thank you much.
Next item on the agenda is a site plan review for 14 Chatham Bars Avenue. I don't know if there's a presenter for this matter. If not, I can mention that we did receive a request from the applicant to continue this matter to our October 25th planning board meeting to give the applicant a chance to do the cleanup work in the parking lot that the planning board has requested earlier. So again, I'll ask if there's someone presenting for 14 Chatham Bars Avenue.
And Thad Eldridge here from East Southeast.
Thad, yes, go ahead.
That's about it. The applicant has requested a continuation until October 25th, so he has ample time to clean out his stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Right, basically to
Madam
comply with
Chairman,
the- Yes,
Bob
go
Dubus
ahead,
here
Bob
again.
Dubus.
I was down there today, and it actually is not as bad as it was the last time. I would like to say that if the lift was moved to the back corner and the trailer was moved and a couple other issues were dealt with, there's some bags of debris, it would actually clean up rather quickly and would not be that terrible a thing to do. And I don't mind him putting it off to do the work, but in my opinion, it's not that much work for him to clean it up enough that we would approve it.
All right. Any other comments from board members? Or
Uh,
questions for Thad? Yes, go ahead, Warren.
This is Warren. Tad, I have a question for you. The continuance means that he is not going to pursue with the zoning board the change of use or the change to retail.
Correct, he's gonna keep the same use in the building.
Which means, but he's not using it as a restaurant at all. So it's just going to be vacant space all summer?
And maybe, if he chooses to open it this summer, he'll have the opportunity to.
Okay. It seems to be shooting himself in the foot.
Right, this is Bob Dibbles. Warren,
Yes.
Warren, I'm in the mindset you are that I think we could work this out and get this over with tonight. Have you been down there?
I have been down there and I had the same reaction you did, Bob. It looks better than it did.
Really, it doesn't take much to do the work to be able to get it over with. And I'd be willing to work with them and say, look, if you're willing to clean up the bags of stuff and maybe move the trailer over and move the forklift, it's pretty well manageable. I understand that he needs some of the space for his equipment to work off of. I mean, we're not trying to tell him to clean it up as immaculate, just to straighten it out so he could get one or two more cars in there. You were the same frame of mind?
I'm of the same frame of mind. I'm not sure how many spaces were there previously or how many we're going to require. There, it's a shell driveway, so you're not going to have lines out there.
Yeah, but you're not going to be able to put that many more cars in there. And I thought it was okay.
But I also understood that previously he had undertaken to improve the landscaping, I'll call it for lack of a better word there. There's knotweed all over the place. It just looks like hell. Could it be fixed reasonably easily? I think so. But it hasn't been over the last year and a half, so I don't know why we would expect it to be done quickly right now, especially if he's content to just let it stay empty all summer, which is the prime season for retail. But okay, I think it could be done. I just am at a loss for why it hasn't already been done quickly. So I don't know what we can do other than say, sure, we'll take the continuance if he doesn't want to have his retail space operative. Do we have another meeting before that October? So if he got it done sooner, he could come back to us?
This is Catherine. We do have a number of other meetings, but I just want to check in with Ally about the propriety of this. I mean, the applicant has requested a continuance until October 25th. If the board would like to see this done, and basically that means that he cannot go through with his change of use prior to that time, prior to when he returns to us October 25th with all of the cleanup done. But he could operate under the same use prior to that time. So I just want to make sure that that understanding is correct.
Right, he can operate a restaurant in there till the end of the summer.
Yes. So I'm checking in with Ally. And then secondly, if the planning board chooses, if the planning board would like to see the cleanup done sooner than October 25th, even though the applicant has requested the continuance, is there a mechanism that we can enforce that? Or is it simply that it's the applicant's decision at this time to continue the matter to October 25th?
So
Or
Catherine,
applicant's
this is Ally.
request?
So the applicant, like you said, did request the continuance to October 25th. Just so the board, as kind of a follow-up from what we discussed last time, we had requested at the May 24th meeting that the applicant provide a site plan showing details regarding the cleanup and renovations of the parking areas, including landscaping and striping of parking areas, and to also provide a cost estimate for the cleanup and restoration of the parking area. So that was what we had requested the last time. And we were hopeful that the applicant could provide some cleanup of that area in good faith before the next meeting. So that is what we had requested. But if the board wants to reconsider that request, if they feel like, you know, the applicant has cleaned up the back enough to your satisfaction, you could request, you know, you'd have to ask the applicant as well that maybe they'd like to come back sooner to the board. And maybe, you know, you wouldn't require some of those plans and the cost estimate. It's really how the board feels, and then if the applicant would agree to that as well.
Ally? this is
Okay.
Warren.
Yes.
It predates my arrival on the board, but my understanding was when the change of use to a restaurant was approved, essentially all of the same wants that you have just elaborated were conditions of that change of use to a restaurant. So I'm not.
To retail.
It seems to me I see no reason to expect that he's going to do anything between now and October or after October. I mean, he still is obligated to do that under the change of use to a restaurant.
So
Yeah.
To have to make it sooner, I think he could do it quickly, but he obviously hasn't. So, and I must admit, I don't like driving by there because it's really an eyesore. But it's his eyesore, and if he doesn't mind not having approval to change it to retail, then I guess there's not much we can do about it.
So just
What
one
about,
correction. Sorry, Catherine.
no, I was
So-
just, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So that condition wasn't placed on the change for this specific unit to the restaurant. That was actually, I believe it was the fat base that's now existing. It was that change to that formula of business that the planning board had required, the cleanup in the back, and that's that letter that was attached in your packet.
Yeah.
It's still the same building. So it would still, you know, obviously apply, but I just wanted to be clear that it wasn't this, you know, retail space.
But there's no bond still outstanding relating to those requirements, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So, Ally, and this is Catherine. So I just want to circle back a little. What I'm hearing from some board members is it's, you know, the applicant is requesting a continuance, but the board is expressing some concern that they would like to see the cleanup done kind of independently almost of the request for a change of use. So I'm wondering, is there a mechanism that can be enforced?
If the board would like to, you know, go forward and, you know, make sure the cleanup, I guess, is done, we could request that the building commissioner through a letter go out and take a look at it. But again, it's up to the board.
Okay.
Madam
So is
Chairman,
that clear to every?
this is
Yes,
Bob
go
Booth.
ahead, Bob.
Listen, we're trying to help the applicant get a store open. I don't know if the restaurant is going to stay there or whatever, but if he wants to wait until October, that's fine. We're trying to help him out and saying, look, minimal cleanup. I mean, it's really not that bad. Would work. He has a truck there, a trailer there. He's got some blocks that could be moved over, and he could clean it up. There's about a dozen trash bags with building debris or whatever's in there, and there's some stuff under the eaves that is fine. I think he could clean it up and reorganize quickly enough if he wanted to. And if maybe the retail store is not going to come in there until later on in the year, that's why he wants to push it off. Maybe the restaurant's going to stay there for the summer, or a restaurant is going to stay there for the summer. If the applicant wants to wait until October, then so be it. Let's vote it in and get over it and get out.
Okay. Someone is raising their hand. I can't identify the person.
John
Is
Roger.
there someone from the, John, all right, Roger Griffin, can go ahead.
Unmute, I'm sorry. The man's made a decision. He's been in business a long time. He knows what he has to do. I think we should just leave it. I mean, how much do we want done? There's a lot of things that have to get done. I think he's made a decision. I think we should just go with the extension and move on.
All right, great. So do I have a motion from the board to approve the request for a continuance until October 25th?
This is Warren Chain. I so move.
And do I
Bob
have a
Dubus,
second to
second.
that motion? All right, let's do our roll call vote. Art Spru,
Art Spru, approve.
Warren Chain,
Warren Chain, approve.
Tom Gagan,
Approve.
Bob Dubus,
Bob Dubus, approve.
Roger Griffin,
Roger Griffin, approve.
and this is Catherine Halper, and I also approve. So the continuance until the October 25th Planning Board meeting is approved for the site plan review for 14 Chatham Bars Avenue
you.
for a change
Have
of.
a great evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks, Ted. Next item on our agenda is a recommendation to the Zoning Board of Appeals regarding a proposed driveway in the Conservancy District, and this is for 24 Salt Pond Road. I should mention to the board that the Zoning Board of Appeals has already reviewed this request and they have approved it. So this is to some degree a housekeeping matter. I think it's the area, Ali and I looked at it this afternoon, and the area of the drive is quite minimal. And I'm going to ask if we have a presenter for this matter, and if so, would you kindly go ahead?
Sure, this is Sean Riley, Coastal Engineering, representing the app.
Please go ahead.
Yep, if I could share my screen.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so the blue is basically the limit of the flood zone. This is the flood zone boundary here, is the blue. So this is elevation 14. So this is Chatham Harbor down here. Flood zone goes all the way up to elevation 14. So I'm just gonna erase this for now. So all of this area is outside of the flood zone. The existing driveway is in red, and the new driveway is this purple color. So essentially, the main body of the driveway is outside of the flood zone. The access is outside of the flood zone. They're looking to put a little storage area, gravel on the side. So we've got a little expansion here, and they're actually reducing the coverage in the flood zone. On the other side, there's a circular driveway that they share with the neighbors. Basically, they're going to take out this area in here and reconfigure it to this shape. So there's another little yellow area that will be gravelled in that area, but it'll be actually a net reduction of gravel coverage of driveway within the flood zone overall. So we don't see that it would impede any flood waters or limit any of the absorption. And like you said, I think it's pretty straightforward.
All right. And it is of pervious material as well.
Yes, it's either going to be a shell or a gravel crushed stone, but it is pervious,
Okay.
correct.
Okay, great. Does anyone on the board have any questions for Sean?
No, this is Bob Dubus. Unfortunately, I can't believe I'm so verbal tonight. But anyway, I was there, Sean. Their driveway in that area is very tight. They're expanding everything. Their driveway basically is the exact same driveway they had with a few expansions on it. I don't see where we have any control over it other than to say we have a positive attitude towards it.
All right.
Yes. This is Catherine. Actually, that's what I would recommend to the board, that we have a motion to send a positive recommendation to the Zoning Board of Appeals with our standard wording, that we always add that the driveway shall be constructed of permeable material and shall be constructed in such a manner which permits the unobstructed flow of water. Are there any further questions for Sean or comments? If there are none, I would ask for a motion.
Hello,
Oh, Art, go ahead. Sorry.
I think the information that was submitted, I don't know if this is just in the way it was communicated to us board members, was very difficult to pinpoint, like for example, where your blue line is, which is the limits of the Conservancy District. It would have been real helpful to have something really clear like that as part of the other comments that board members were making. And I don't see an issue with this, but it would make our job a lot easier if in the future the applicant would provide us with information as clear as you're showing us on this presentation here. This would have been real helpful, made our job easier, and we could have zipped through this much quicker. So I'd see that.
Great.
All right, this is Bob Douglas. Thank you for bringing that up. That's the one thing that I forgot to bring up, is that unless you're an engineer, and Sean, it has nothing to do with you, but the plan you gave us was very minute, and even with a magnifying glass, we had trouble deciphering it. If it wasn't for the stakes that were driven in with the names on them, it would be very, very hard. It took me a long time to find the place, and I live here, and I knew where it was, let alone the map that you gave us. I mean, I know I'm almost 70 and my eyesight's getting bad, but I'm like, really? I had to blow this thing up at the shop to a 20 scale so I could see what was going on. Please, Ally and Madam Chairman, make sure that we have a larger copy. 11 by 17 would have been even better.
Understood.
It was very difficult. Thank you, Art.
Yep.
Yes. And this is Catherine. And by the way, Bob Dubus and Art, I agree with you 1,000%. Ally and I went over this afternoon, and we had to zoom in, and Ally had to use her little marker, and we had to trace the lines, and it was very difficult to see. So somehow we should make it a standard procedure, that we get a map that's something like what Sean is showing now, where that wonderful, nice, thick blue line you can see very clearly.
Well, I thought we did have that in our instructions, Madam Chairman, that the plan has to be so we can understand it. But,
and plus seeing, also it's very good, we see the existing driveway is in one color, the proposed driveway is in another. So we can actually just at a glance see what's happening. So yes, absolutely. We'll work with the applicants towards that.
We will get that on the next one.
Goal.
Absolutely.
That sounds great. All right.
Catherine,
so with
sorry.
All that being, yes,
Catherine,
Ally,
it's Ally. My hand's up. Sorry.
I didn't see. Sorry, Ally.
No, it's fine. I know that's hard of free. So I just wanted to make just two quick comments. So the Zoning Board of Appeals did review this application and approve it already on last Thursday. So there's technically, I'm glad everyone's positive about it, but there's technically no action at the moment for the planning board to take, because the Zoning Board of Appeals was the one that recommended or requested a recommendation. So unfortunately, there's no action at this point for the planning board to take. And I will try my hardest to get better plans for the board. But again, it's a referral request from the Zoning Board of Appeals. So We usually take what the zoning board is given, but we can definitely make sure that they're larger for you all, the plans in the future.
Okay, great. So we don't need to send the recommendation at this point
We do not,
because
unfortunately.
they, okay, because they've already approved it. Okay, great. All right. So then I don't need a motion for a vote. So thank you, Thad, for.
Madam Chairman,
this, Or, yes,
Madam Chairman, Bob
Bob,
Dubus,
Bob Dubus, yes.
we should have a vote on this to have no dead ends.
All right.
That's
All right.
fine.
That's fine. So do we have a motion for a positive recommendation on this matter?
Roger Griffin, positive recommendation.
Bob
And
Dubus,
do I have a
second.
second? All right, let's do a roll call vote. Art Spru,
Art Spru, approve.
Warren Chain,
Warren Chain, approve.
Tom Gagan,
Once again, I approve. Tom Gagan.
Bob Dubus,
Bob Dubus, approve.
Roger Griffin,
Roger Griffin approved.
and this is Catherine Halpern. I approve. All right. So at this point, before we have a few chairman's comments at the end, I'm just going to ask if there's anyone from the public who's connected to the meeting who wants to make a comment on any matters we've been discussing tonight or any questions. I'll give you a few moments in case you're muted. All right, so just a couple of points that Ally and I wanted to go over with the board. Just our next meeting is July 12th, and we anticipate that we will be having the follow-up discussion with the Airport Commission regarding the zoning for the West Chatham Neighborhood Center and potentially a zoning overlay for the runway protection zone. So we will be having a meeting again with the Airport Commission, tentatively scheduled for our next meeting, July 12th. So I just wanted to let you know that. And I will make a comment. Ally's been good enough to follow up, and Ally's had a conversation with our town council, and I just want the planning board to understand the point of view now is that we'll be asking, as some of you have mentioned in our previous meetings regarding this matter, the planning board is not an expert in FAA regulations or policy or guidelines or anything concerning the airport. So it's not really the best action for the planning board to try to put together the policy of what would be in the runway protection zone zoning or zoning overlay. But the planning board can take the action to implement the policies that are recommended by the Airport Commission or by their FAA consultant, or how they choose to frame what the best practices would be for that area. So we'll be looking to have another discussion with them and to clarify some of these issues. And so that is at least tentatively scheduled for July 12th. July 28th, again, tentatively scheduled to be our next meeting with Cape Cod Commission regarding the West Chatham Neighborhood Center zoning. And I think at that time, Ally is anticipating that they'll have the next draft ready for us to review. Ally, did you want to make any comments about that?
No, that is correct. The Cape Cod Commission is hopeful to come in front of the board, like you said, at our last meeting in July, and there'll be a draft based upon the comments that were given from the planning board the last time we had discussed this. So hopefully we'll have, most of your questions answered, and then we can take it out to public comment and board comments from different entities in town. So that's the tentative plan right now, so we can hopefully keep this moving.
Yeah, okay, great. And then
May I
the
ask a
next
question,
point.
Madam Chair?
Absolutely, please go ahead.
Tom Gagan, I'm still confused continue to be confused by what you just said as a statement about what the planning board can or cannot do in terms of the airport. Why are we involved in anything that has to do with that? It's not preview to the planning board to make decisions about airport or airport running or the FAA or any of those implications. So why are we having this meeting with the airport commission to discuss what they want to see happen?
This is Catherine. Tom, actually, it's a great question. It is the fundamental point that you're bringing up. And I think that's exactly what is being said, that the planning board is not responsible for formulating the policy of what should occur, what uses are permitted or are not permitted in the runway protection zone. However, the way that things are set up is that the planning board is responsible for implementing zoning changes and to implement whatever policy the airport commission formulates according to FAA guidelines. To implement that would be the planning board's action protective for the runway protective zone. Does that make sense? In other words, we are not the experts in airport regulations. We don't formulate the policy, but because we propose zoning changes, it actually is in our purview to implement the policies that are recommended.
I absolutely disagree with that
through a zone.
fundamentally. I don't think that the planning board should be involved in having any other entity, state or federal, telling us what we should do with the underlying zoning. I think that should be deliberated by this board, particularly when it deals with the West Chatham neighborhood area. And essentially what we're being told de facto is you're going to do this because someone else has made a decision. They are actually telling us what it is that we are supposed to be doing relative to zoning. And I'm definitely against that being told by this member of the board. I'd like to act independently of anything that has to do with the airport.
Catherine,
All right,
it's
Ally,
Ally.
yes, go ahead,
Yeah.
Ally.
So I think that, it will be good for us to have an agenda item at the July 12th meeting, because we can discuss all the board's opinions on it to see if we want to go forward with potentially including an overlay district as an RPZ, if we don't want to, and we can, really flesh these things out so that we can continue to move forward with our West Chatham Neighborhood Center zoning initiative. So I think this is kind of like the wrap up from what we had discussed last time. All the board members were able to think about the presentation that was given to us, and we can really decide which direction the board wants to go moving forward. Do we want to have an action for this? Do we not? How do we want to proceed? And I think that is a good way to kind of put it, tie this loose end up. So.
Yeah. In other words, that is the purpose of the agenda item on the July 12th meeting, is to discuss just the issue that you're bringing up. And I think town council will also be at that meeting. Is that correct, Ally?
I believe so.
Council, yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Madam Chair?
Yes, please go ahead, Tom.
Thank you. Tom Gagan, what role does the town council have in telling the planning board what we should do under zoning?
Town council, Ally, do you want to respond?
Yes, please. Sorry, I was muted. I was muted.
No, go ahead, Ally.
Town council is really here to advise us to make sure we're doing, things legally, obviously. And that's really why we want him. If we're going to discuss anything with the airport commission, I just want to, like Catherine said, I'm not an expert in FAA regulations and things like that. So I just want to make sure that we do everything, legally. And that's why we've requested that he come to this meeting as well.
Is that satisfactory, Tom?
We'll see you on, Tom
Yeah.
Daniel, we'll see you on July 12th with satisfactory. Never mind, I will defer my comments. Ally, thank you for the suggestion. I believe as one member of the planning board, there's a lot that we need to discuss as a group as to how we respond to these issues. I have a lot of
Alright.
questions about what's going on.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, no, that's the purpose of the July 12th meeting. And this is Catherine. I'll just make a comment. The planning board is a regulatory body, and we're also, in a sense, a legislative body. We propose, we make proposals for changes in the bylaws of the town of Chatham. So in that sense, if I may say so, we are never a body that can act independently. We act within the context of, and we have to reflect accurately Massachusetts state law, and we also have to reflect accurately whatever the general bylaws of Chatham are, as well as the current protective zoning bylaws, and then the proper procedures for amending those zoning bylaws. So in some sense, a town council can advise us on all of those matters. And on the details of all of those laws and how our proper regulatory and, you could say, legislative actions take place within the context of all those levels of law. And in this case, also interfacing with federal law, federal aviation law. And that's the purpose of town council, because this is really a legal issue.
Madam Chairman,
All right,
this is Bob Dubus.
Yes, Bob Dubus.
I hope that these meetings are gonna start becoming personal instead of over the computer so that we can look at each other and actually get some feelings for this.
All right. So Bob Dubus, with that comment, that brings me to the next point that I wanted to bring up under Chairman's comments. So here's the thing. The state of Massachusetts, as I read in our opening statements regarding remote participation, it's a different law now, but the state of Massachusetts has extended our ability to choose remote participation as an alternative method of public access for our open meetings through April of 2022. So just hold on and hear the story. So we have that option of using remote participation and remote viewing through April of the option to return to an in-person meeting. Understand it, we could begin that at and just to give you some of the other boards in Chatham, the Board of Selectmen have started to do their meetings in person again. However, they do not allow any public access in person. The Historical Commission of the Town of Chatham chosen that they will remain virtual, and they meetings by remote participation until the end of the summer. And
Sorry,
the
Catherine,
zoning board
sorry,
sorry?
Catherine, it's Ally. I'm having a hard time hearing you. You're kind of coming in and out. I'm not sure
Okay.
if other people are as well.
Okay.
I don't know, Mark. Sorry, Mark, can you hear her or no?
I'm sorry,
Has
Ally, I
everyone
am
been able
also
to hear
hearing
me?
her cut in and out.
Okay.
Okay, so is that better? Is microphone closer? Is that better?
No, it has to do with the data amount. So maybe if you turn off your video camera.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Tom.
Madam Chair, I think what's happening to us now is a prime example of why we should try, at least the board, to meet in public. I think I would appreciate if the board would entertain polling the board as to what their understanding would be, whether they'd like to start meeting in public or not, if that's appropriate.
All right. Tom, we are planning to do that, but first I'd like to finish presenting the points. Can you hear me now? I just need some feedback to let me know if you can hear me better now.
Well, yeah, Tom Gagan again, may I speak?
Well, only for the moment, just let me know if you can hear me, because I should finish the points and then we will go through the board and I will ask for everybody's opinion. But first, I do need to finish these points. So
Yes,
what I need
yes,
to
we
know
can
is,
hear
can
you.
you hear me? All right,
Yes.
great. All right. So I just wanted to let you know what the other boards are doing. As I mentioned, Board of Selectmen is meeting in person, but with no public access. Historical Commission will be virtual through the end of the summer. The Zoning Board of Appeals is meeting in person. Can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly, Catherine.
Okay, actually, if everyone else could mute their microphones, that might help. Okay, so Historical Commission is meeting virtually to the end of the summer. I've already heard from a couple of board members that you would very much like to go back to meeting in person. So we're going to need to consider this. We also need to consider, if we go back to meeting in person, do we want to include public access or just the board meeting in person and public access by remote in some way? I do want to mention a couple of points that it's good to be aware of. The next couple of meetings, the one with the Airport Commission and the one with Cape Cod Commission, we do have other participants in our meeting. And to be, just to be clear, it's probably a greater convenience for them to meet remotely, to meet remotely with the Cape Cod Commission on July 28th, and also with the Airport Commission and their FAA consultant. It might be more of a convenience to work remotely with them on July 12th. And the other issue I just want to ask the board to consider is, as all of you know, it may be more convenient for Ally to be able to participate remotely. So just on her behalf, for her comfort, as you know, Ally and her husband are expecting a new family member soon. And these last couple of months, for her comfort and convenience, I just want to suggest that maybe we might want to look at a hybrid situation where the board meets in our meeting room, but perhaps staff can participate remotely, something like that. So I just want to throw out those suggestions, and let's go through the board and hear everybody's opinion. So Art Sprue, would you go ahead, and how do you feel about this?
Catherine Art Sprue, I'm interested in person with the board, and if it's best to have the public virtual, that's fine. But I think the
Okay.
board really needs to start meeting in person in order for us to get through a lot of this in a much more efficient and effective manner.
Okay, great. And Warren Chain.
I agree with Art's comments completely, and also your suggestion that staff should be allowed to participate remotely if, in your opinion, that's sufficient. It may depend on the meeting and the context of each and every one, but I would be very supportive of that. And for you, Madam Chairman, to make the call as to whether it was virtual or not.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Tom Gagan, I think we know what you think, but please go ahead.
Thank you for allowing me to speak, Madam Chairman. Tom Gagan. I agree with both Arthur and Warren. I would add, though, that when we have the meeting with the Aviation Commission, the airport commissioners, I'd like them to be present at the meeting. I'd like that interface between the board members and the commission. But as far as the recommendations about the public being able to be viewed the way we are currently doing it, if it increases participation, that's wonderful. And as far as staff for their convenience and comfort, I have absolutely no issue with that.
Great. Okay. So again, we're suggesting a possible hybrid of the boards and the Airport Commission, for example, and maybe Cape Cod Commission meeting in person, but perhaps public access by virtual participation. And, then maybe let's arrange something also for staff to be virtual if that's more convenient. And let's see, Bob Dubus. I think we know what you think,
You
but
know
go
my
ahead.
feeling on this. I would like to be present and accounted for, but under the circumstances, I am willing to make amends to get everything straightened out so that we can get back to normal. I understand there's some situations that we might have to be virtual, which is fine. My rather is to rather meet in person so we can discuss this without having to look at a blank screen or a computer screen or figure out what's going on. But I am willing to let it go until everybody feels that we can meet on the level again.
All right. And Roger.
I feel the same way. I think it's time we try to move forward, and we'll just do it with common sense. I mean, take it individually in certain meetings, but yeah, I think we're ready. I think we are.
Allie.
Thanks. So yeah, I just wanted to point out that, we will have to coordinate with Channel 18 to figure out when we could potentially start meeting in person again. So we hear the recommendations of the board, definitely. And I just wanted to ask just one quick question. So if it's not possible to meet in person on July 12th, which is where I was hoping the airport commission could attend, do you want to push that back? Or do you want to, trudge through with the virtual if we can't get it together for the July 12th meeting?
I can take a poll of the board. Art Sprue.
I think it's important to meet with them. Certainly in person would be best. I'm flexible though. I would do virtual if it's important for the rest of the board to advance this. So.
All right, Warren Chain.
This is Warren. I really would like them to be present, but I also feel that it's important to try and move this forward. And therefore, if they cannot be in no way present, then I guess I would support their being present virtually with the rest of us together.
All right. Tom Gagan.
Tom Gagan, it's imperative that the board, the commission be in front of us, the airport commissioners be in front of us. If they can't do it, it's not at their convenience, it's at this board's convenience. And I would certainly support having the meeting postponed until such a time that the airport commissioners can be present in public meeting with this board.
Okay. And would you want public access? This is Catherine, Tom. Would you want public access also in person?
Madam Chair, Tom Gagan, the public access is, I think for me, less of an issue than the eye-to-eye contact and the interpersonal relationship that you have when someone's in front of you. If the virtual component to this allows more members of the public to come and, in terms virtually speaking, their positions in front of the board, I'm all in favor of that. But I think, again, I wish to have the interaction, the personal interaction between the commissioners in this board. I think it's of paramount importance to me personally as a member of this board to get a sense of feeling about what people are presenting to this board. And I like that personal contact.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tom. Bob Dubus.
Bob Dubus, I'm in the favor of Tom Gagan. I think that we could wait, get the airport commission together with us so that we can hash this out. So I'm on Tom's side.
Okay, great. And Roger.
I agree with Tom and Bob. I don't think we can do it virtually. I mean, I don't want to even deal with these little screens on something that's so important. We're talking about acres of. I think it has to be in person or push it back.
Okay, great. All right, I think we have a clear sense of the board. Allie, do you feel comfortable with what you're hearing? And you'll check with Channel 18 and see if we can go in person for July 12th.
I will see what we can do. Like I said, I hear the board and definitely what you all want to do going forward, but we have to check, internally and things like that. So I'll let you know how it all shakes out. But I also hear that if for some reason, we can't get it for July 12th in person, then it would probably be better to push the airport commission discussion back until we can be in person. That's my reading.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Madam
that's
Chair,
my
Tom
reading
Gagan.
too. Yes, Tom Gagan.
Madam Chair, thank you. Tom Gagan. Ally, you look great.
Thanks, Tom.
And John, Roger, you have your hand raised?
You
Or
know,
is it just
yeah, I guess
raised?
at
Yeah,
that,
go
at
ahead.
that meeting, it'd be good that we're all there, but I guess if this would be an example of probably just sort of, having them more custom, do we, considering, Ally being pregnant, I mean, does Ally really have to be there that night? We could probably work it out where she could be remote. Just an idea.
Yeah, I would
I
be in
can't hear.
favor of trying to work that out. I would be in favor of trying to work that out for Ally's.
Good.
As a courtesy to Ally, let's put it that way. Any other
Thank you.
comments before
Sorry,
we?
Catherine. I appreciate
No, go
that a
ahead,
lot.
Ally.
I appreciate that a lot. But I will, like I said, internally we'll try to work it out. So thank you for everyone's kind comments.
Let's take a
Okay,
vote.
great.
Let's take a vote on that issue so Ally doesn't have to come over the bridge.
Do we need a formal vote?
No,
I'm going to guess everyone.
I'm being facetious.
Everyone
but
agrees.
The bridge was built in 1933.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, no, we get it. And it's a long drive, sort of later in the evening. And it's just, a courtesy I think we should extend. So I think we're pretty clear on how the board feels about this. And Ally will work with Channel 18. I'm losing my microphone here. And see if we can get set up to start meeting in person on July 12th. But there are some technical issues, so we'll just keep you posted on that. So if there are no other comments from any board members, I could take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Bob Dubus, adjourn.
Do I have a second to that motion? All right, let's do the roll call vote. Art Spru,
Art Spru, approve.
Warren Shane,
Warren Chain, approve.
Tom Gagan. Tom Gagan, you're muted.
Well, that's where I should normally be, but Tom Gagan, with pleasure. I approve.
All right, thanks, Tom. And Bob Dubus
Bob Dubus approves.
and Roger Griffin.
Roger Griffin approve.
And this is Catherine Halpern, and I approve that we adjourn the meeting. And let's note the time as 6:01 in the evening. Thank you, everyone, for your participation, and enjoy the beautiful weather, and we'll see you soon.